Hey guys, today we're going to be working on a Ryobi RY40104. The height adjustment bracket has broken on it. So in order to take this apart, there are multiple screws on the sides, on the top, here and here, the front here, underneath this cover, and then two on the front here and here, and all around. Now the screws are Torx screws, and you want to use size 25, T25, and that'll be the right screw there. So multiple screws. You'll also need to pop the handle off the adjuster, and there's our two tiny Phillips screws for that. So pop that off, and then you'll be able to pop this off. Now just note that it might be a little fidgety to take off. Mine's a bit dirty. I've been using this. Alright, and here we go. Here we have it. So we'll just pop it to the side. You're going to see here that the bracket here has broken off. I'll link the part number to order if you want a replacement of this in the description. Here's the new part. Here's what it looks like. You can see that it broke right here where my finger is. Now the rest is still here. This bar is still holding on, but you can see it cracked right there, as well as right here. So that's the part right here. So we're going to replace that so that we could get this height adjustment working. You've got to keep in mind that this spring is very important. It attaches to this bar and then to this rod here that's holding this whole mechanism together. So I'm going to take this apart. And then we'll have to take this apart as well. Now, to take this apart, there is a pin here that we'll have to dislodge and then slide the new bracket in. But we'll do this part last. I hear that you have to do this part first. Push this down and then lock it into place with the pin. So we'll be right back. I just got to take apart this mechanism. There are 4 screws, Torx screws. I believe this TX25 is going to work. Yeah, it's going to work just fine. So we'll be right back. We'll take this apart. Note that before we take this apart, we should remove the spring so that it doesn't just fly off once we take the last screw off. So keep note of that. So to take apart the spring, we're just going to have to pull it off ourselves. So we'll just have to pull it off ourselves here. All right, so I did remove it. I used a tool to pull it out, and it finally came out of this little hole here. I scratched it up a bit, but that should be fine. So now this is loose. It's not going to hurt anybody. Again, this side will go down, so I'll just keep note of that by placing it in the same position. Alright, so now we're free to take this apart. This is now loose. There's no spring holding it together, so it should make it easier to put this assembly all together and then pop that spring back on. Okay. So now we'll take these 4 screws off, finally. Alright, so now these screws are finally off. Again, these are just little metal plates, so put them somewhere safe with the screws. You don't want them falling in the cracks of your back deck there. So again, now the screws are loose. Now we should be able to slide this baby off here. So again, don't mind the grass. So here's our mechanism. Again, we don't want to lose any parts, so this last part here is a spring, so there's a coil on this to hold the handle up. Now there's a pin that we'll have to bend and pull out to take this out of this mechanism so that we could put in the new part. So I'm going to use a set of long nose pliers and 2 hands to pull this out. So I'm going to do this off camera. Okay, so now the pin has been straightened out. I should be able to pull it out. Perhaps it's not straight enough yet. Oops, sorry, I'm not even recording it. There we go. I should be able to pull out the pin. Alright, so I finally got the pin out. And we'll be able to slide this entire mechanism out. So we'll pull on this gently. Okay, we don't want to lose the spring, and we need to remember the position it was in. So it was like this. Correction, it was like this. Alright, put the spring in the same position that it was in. Okay, you want the hook going through the front like that. And then we'll put the handle back in as so, like this. Alright, I guess there's one thing to note. You want this to be above the bar. So getting in there, there's going to be a little bit of a tension. You're going to have to fight with it a little bit. But if you get it in there, you'll be able to push it in there. You'll get it in there. Alright, so I was able to successfully get the part in. The pin's not in it yet to hold it in place. The pin's right here. But the whole purpose of the spring is so that once you lock it into position, it pushes against there to hold it in place. So I'm just going to show you here, hands free. I don't know if I can do that, but when I pull it, it also wants to pull back. Alright, so I was able to put the pin back in. Now we'll take our pliers and bend the end back so that it can't be unpinned easily. So we'll bend that like that. Again, I'll make a prettier job once I have two hands. There you go, that should do it. So now it's pinned back in, looks good as new, and it's in place. Alright, so the next part is to put the whole assembly back in, and then we'll pop this off afterwards. Alright, so I put the pin through the bottom of this and I sat it back down. Again, there's nothing really holding it down yet. The spring is not back on it yet. We'll get that done later. Now we're just going to screw these two things down again. Okay, so far so good. Our new mechanism is on, but it's not on this actual arm here. The old part's still in there, so we're going to take that off by bending this pin. Make sure you keep the washer. You don't want to lose that. There's no washer between these two, so just keep in mind of that. So we'll pop this off, pull the arm off, take this off, and then pop in the new one that's built into this new bracket. Okay, so now the pin has been pulled off. We're going to take this washer off, keep it somewhere safe. There's the pin. We'll be able to slide this off. Okay, again, there's two notches. You want it in the first notch, not the last one. Put that down. Remove the damaged piece of bracket there. So now you can see where the tension was. It was like this. Alright, so now the new part will have to slide in. So pull on that, pull on the arm. Find where this will enter. Now, this can be adjusted. You'll have to lift the back. You'll have to lift the back of the lawnmower. Alright, so I had to pull on this back tire. So my hands here. I have to pull on this back tire because it adjusts the height of this bar, and I had to pull down on here to give it the space it needs to get in this bracket. So right now the bracket's not fitting in because I need to pull on the back tire to lower this bar. So something needs to help hold this down, and then pull on the back tire. Sorry about that, my phone dropped. So I was able to pull on this tire and then get that first part in there. So you can see now it's adjusting the back tire. It's pretty tight in there. Alright, our next part here is to get this bar in here. So now we have to adjust it again. So I'll just hold it. So this part was easy. I was just you just have to set it down and it pulled it forward. So you lift it up, you put it forward, and you can see it sits in there just nicely. All right, so the next step we'll put in the washer. All right, the washer's in. We'll put in the pin. Might have to straighten that out a bit to make it an easier entrance. Give me a second. All right, that looks a lot better. So we're gonna be able to put this back in. Beautiful. Then we'll bend that, and we're almost complete. Next part will be the spring. Will be the hardest part because I'll need to get like a flat screwdriver, something with a long handle, and I'll be able to pull on the spring. And I'll pull it into this hole here. Because this part's easy. You just hook it in, right? And then you'll need to pull the rest and make it go in here. So we'll figure that out once we get there. All right, the pin is now back in place. You can see it's right here. That pin is back in place. And the last step is to put the spring back in its hole. And then we'll have to realign it so that it fits into the height adjustment tool. Now, someone said that the best trick for this part, because the lawnmower is weighing down on the wheels, it's always holding it all the way down. The best way to get the spring in is to pull this lever all the way back and then fit it in the hole. But because of the weight, it's pushing down. So we're going to turn the lawnmower on its side. This way there won't be any weight, and it should be easier to put this coil back in its place. All right, so it should look like this. The lawnmower is now on its side. We'll be able to adjust this and get this on accordingly. So you can see that we're moving it there, and now it's staying in place. So we want our shoe against that, and then make sure the coil is going into the pin there, and then we should be able to pull on this actually by hand, and not quite by hand. I don't have the strength to do that, so I've got my handy dandy torque wrench thingy, which will go in here, and then I will hold it in place, and that should lock into place there. So now we've got that coil in its place, we got this coil in its place, and I think we're just about done. Everything else is holding up just fine. We'll be able to put this thing together very shortly. Alright, so we'll set it back on the ground, and we should be able to slide in the handle into the proper groove. Alright, so we have the handle here. We want to slide it in. Maybe, there you go. So now it's in. We don't have to worry about it being lost. Then we'll have to just figure out how to make sure everything else slides in properly so that we could screw this back together. So as long as this is hanging out, you should be good to go. I think the most challenging part about putting it back together is just it not sliding into the groove. So you're gonna have to like lift it up and make sure it fits in those grooves. Let's see if I can do it. There we go. Same with the back here. See how it's not pushed in all the way? You're gonna have to give it a nice little helping hand. Make sure everything is snug and nothing is actually fighting. It looks like the front is okay. Alright, so now everything's back in place. The adjustment arm is working. We'll put that back together first and then put the rest together. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put the handle on. You can see the two holes here. Again, just to match the holes. It's pretty simple for that one. And we'll put those two screws in. There we go. And that Alright, our handle is on. It's nicely done. We're able to adjust our lawnmower's height now. I usually leave it at a 3 or 4. Don't cut too short, it'll kill the battery so much quicker than you'd want. Okay, so the first screws I'm going to do is the front, because there's these 4 screws that go in like this. Okay, but there's a front cover that goes on top of that. So we want to do these 2 screws first, and then we'll do these 2 with the front cover, and then this cover will screw here. So we're going to use this to screw on top. So there were 4 screws that were covering these 2 screws. So here we go. Alright, it wasn't easy, but I got the 2 first screws in. I really had to put pressure on this front cover to get the holes to match up, but I finally did get it in. These 2 screws are now in. We can put this cover on. So this cover, again, will have 2 screws for the front, and then another screw hole for the top one here. So it looks like it'll just snap in here. So let's put this on. Again, there's these 3 grooves here as well for these 3 plastic grooves. Now, what is stopping me? It's the lawnmower tires, the wheels. So let's see if I can align that up. Okay, I think I got it. Looks like it's in good place. So we'll put in these 2 screws, because I remember these ones were from the front. So we'll put these back in and continue with the rest. Try not to go too tight, it may strip. You know, the plastic is not the strongest. You know, I've had this for a few years now, so the plastic's very weak in terms of reusability when you want to screw things back in. So just screw it until it's snug enough, but not too tight so you strip the whole hole. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so I've got these 2 in, 2 more to go, and then the rest. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more screws. Alright, the front cover is now on, so all 4 screws. There's actually a total of 6 screws just on the front. We have 2 here, 2 here, and then 2 on each side there as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 to go here. Now, unfortunately, this screwdriver that I'm holding isn't long enough to reach in here, so I'm going to have to use this handy dandy torque. It's going to fit deeper, but it's not really going to have the best reach, so I'm going to have to find another tool to complete this job. Now, fortunately for me, I do have this screwdriver, which is the perfect size for the screws as well, so it'll be able to get to where I need to go. I'm not sure what it is, but some screws work better with the 25, and some screws work better with the 20. So just keep that in mind. Not sure why, but some screws are 20, some screws are 25. So just keep that in mind. In my case, my screws are full of debris, which makes it really hard for the screwdriver to get where it needs to go to get a good grasp of the screw. So stripping may occur if your lawnmower is truly dirty and you're not able to pick this dirt out. All right, so all screws are back into their place. 1, we'll count them all. 2, ignore the handle ones. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11, 12, 13, 14. So a total of 14 screws to remove this entire cover so that you can work on extracting this. Now again, to remove this, you must remove the handle, which has 2 Phillips screws on there. So it's a job well done. We're now able to adjust the height once again. This is the broken part. I ordered it from Part Source, and I'll put the link in the description where you can order this part. It was like $6, but plus $11 shipping, so it came out to $18 US. I'm in Canada, so it took about a week to get here from Ohio, and yeah, it came up to $24 Canadian instead of $18 US. So, well, it is the same price but different currency. But yeah, job all done. We'll be able to finally cut the long grass again. So, thanks for watching. Again, this was from model RY40104.